Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare oh. Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
And now first all the male embodied souls, and after that the female embodied souls. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Und alle zusammen, all together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Can it be that we have some Ukrainian power here? A little bit. A little bit? Okay. So, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, as far as I understand, we speak in English oder in Deutsch. Russisch kann ich leider nicht. Er hat mit Bengalisch etwas Schwierigkeiten. Was ist der Plan? Wer ist hier der... So, do we have translation? If we speak in Deutsch, haben wir eine englische Übersetzung? Wenn wir in Deutsch sprechen, do we have an English translation? Who is the translator?
Well, the question is, how many people need translation?
Okay, who needs, in case we speak in English, who would need an English translation?
Ja, wer spricht kein Englisch? Bitte Hände hoch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay.
No, stop.
No, the question was, who doesn't speak English? Wer spricht kein English?
No. Who speaks English? Who speaks German? Wer spricht Deutsch? Okay, dann machen wir Englisch. Ja. So, who can translate? Yes. So, alle, die nicht so gut Englisch verstehen, setzt euch zu diesem sehr nicen Devotee. Er sitzt dort in diesem sehr schönen Winkel. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Okay. We now play a short last song everybody knows.
Jaya Radha Madhava der anderen Art. Wir sind immer am Experimentieren. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari.
Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari.
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari.
Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari.
Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vana Chari. Yamuna Tira Vana Chari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari.
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari.
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vana Chari. Yamuna Tira Vana Chari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shiva Sadikora Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitya Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitya Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura, Hari Bol. Nitya Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
So there is a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 11th canto, and that goes, Nimnaganang yata ganga, devanam achyuta yata, vaishnavanam yata shambhu, puranam idam tata, purananam idam tata. Just as the Ganga is the greatest of all rivers, Lord Achyuta, the supreme among deities, and Lord Shambhu, Shiva, the greatest of Vaishnavas, So Srimad Bhagavatam is the greatest of all Puranas. So when we think of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find that there all the 10 incarnations are mentioned. Some are shortly mentioned and some are more extended mentioned. Who knows what are the 10 incarnations? Who has a name for us? One. Matsya, Kurma, Narasingha, the boys, Varaha, Vamana, Parashurama. We have Kalki. And I think one is missing? Buddha. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to check if everyone is alive. So, it was even the right, what it is called? The right progress. Yeah, progress. Yeah. Actually, sometimes the devotees, they say, we have nothing to do with the evolution theory of Charles Darwin. However, we have a Vaishnava version of the evolution theory. When we see the Dashavatars, the first one is in the water. That is what Charles Darwin said. First, all the living entities were in the water, and then some of them crawled to the land. We have our Srimad Bhagavatam version, yes? Who knows who crawled on the land? Kurma. And then, so we have half water, half land. Now, the next incarnation, Varaha, is interesting. He is complete out of the water, but he likes muddy land. The land is still wet. So then, we have still animals. Now the next incarnation is already half animal and half man. So again, we see an evolutionary step forward. Then the next avatar, who knows who is the next one in that progress, in the right progress? Vamanadev, exactly. And here in the Lord of the Ring, we would say a half-man, halfling in the language of J.R.R. Tolkien, a half-man, which is a dwarf. So Vamanadev is the dwarf incarnation, not full man, half man. Then the next one is the first fully grown up in the human form, Parashurama. Now we have the three Ramas, Parashurama, who knows the next one? Ramachandra and Balaram. That is easy to remember. Then Balaram comes always with Krishna, so Krishna is included. And then we have Buddha and Kalki. So today I wanted to tell you a story which I believe most of you have not heard yet. I found it fascinating, and it is also for people who likes to count with numbers. So, as I said in that Srimad Bhagavatam verse, it is said, just as the Ganga is the greatest of all rivers, Lord Achyuta the supreme among deities, and Lord Shambhu, Shiva, the greatest of Vaishnavas, so Srimad Bhagavatam is the greatest of all Puranas. So the Vaishnavas are known that they want to share the nectar. They want to share the nectar of Krishna's glories, of Krishna's holy name with others. And in the same way, they are like a tree. You have seen a tree full of fruits. The tree cannot eat its own fruits. He wants to share it. Then the example is giving Mother Ganga, the river. She cannot drink her own water. She wants to share its water or her waters with all living beings. Then a cow does not drink her own milk. She wants to give her milk to others, to her calves and also to human beings who are treating her nicely. And in the same way, people or devotees with a big heart, they want to share their treasures with all the living entities. So it happened that Lord Shiva, on the highest planet in this universe, who knows which one is the highest planet of the universe? Satyaloka, also known as Brahmaloka. Yeah, and Dhruvaloka is a spiritual planet. It is an own category, but the highest, we can say, material planet is Satyaloka or Brahmaloka. And it is said that we have here on planet Earth, how many verses it is said has the Srimad Bhagavatam? 18,000. And it is said that on higher planets, people they have more capacity. They can remember more shlokas, many more details. And so it is said that the Ramayana on Brahmaloka, it has, in Indian language, 1 crore, if I pronounce it correctly, crore. Who is from India? They are all gone. You look a little bit Indian. Crore. So I'm not so much into crores and lakhs. I'm more into billions and millions and 100,000s. So it is said that the Ramayana has 1 billion or 1 crore of shlokas. And the Ramayana was given to Lord Shiva. And he had 1 crore or 1 billion verses. And as we heard here, he is the kind-hearted, most kind-hearted Vaishnava. He wanted to share the Ramayana to all living entities in the universe, because he had heard that every shloka is capable to purify the living entities of more sinful activities than the living being is able to perform. So then he gave, and now please be alive now, for all who likes to know numbers. He shared 330 million shlokas of the Ramayana to all the living entities on the upper planetary system. He shared 330 billion shlokas of the Ramayana to the living entities living on the middle planetary system. And he shared 330 million to all the living entities on the lower planetary system of this universe. So who knows how many millions of shlokas are left? who was attentive. Exactly. 10 million shlokas were left. And Parvati, the wife of Shiva, she got a little bit nervous. Oh, you got so many shlokas, 1 billion, and now we only have 10 million left for ourselves. Please let's keep those 10 million shlokas for ourselves. And he said, yes, of course. But then he recited the Ramayana. He got again kind-hearted. What is if there are still living entities in the universe who are bereft of the nectar of the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And he shared of this 10 million shlokas. He shared, please be attentive, 3,300,000 shlokas to the living entities on the upper planetary system, 3,300,000 shlokas to the living entities on the middle planetary system, and 3,300,000 shlokas to the living entities living on the lower planetary system. So, how many shlokas are left? 100,000. 100,000 shlokas. Remember, originally it was 1 billion. So, his wife, Parvati Devi, she was very upset. How could you do that? Now we only have 100,000 verses. Please, let's keep those shlokas for ourselves. Promise to me. And he said, yes, my dear wife, I will promise to you, we will keep those 100,000 verses for ourselves. And he started to recite the Ramayana, and he was very, very excited, the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. And then he became thoughtful. What is if there are still any living entities rotting here in this material world, and they do not get the glorious nectar of the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? I cannot tolerate this thought. I have to share the nectar. And Mother Parvati, she got very, very nervous. No, please, Shiva, please, don't do it. Don't do it. But it was too late. So Shiva, he shared 33,000 shlokas of the Ramayana to the living entities living on the upper planetary system. He shared very enthusiastically 33,000 shlokas to the living entities living on the middle planetary system, and 33,000 shlokas to those on the lower planetary system. How many shlokas are left? Very loud. 1,000. And Parvati was totally angry. How could you do that? We only have now 1,000 Ramayana shlokas. And she fall to his feet. Please, my dear husband, please, you have already broken that promise. Please promise now with Achman and mantras that you won't share those 1,000 left verses. And he promised. And he started to recite the Ramayana, Hare Krishna, and tears flowed from his eyes, and he became very thoughtful. What is if there are still living entities in this material world. And Parvati said, no. But it was too late. Shiva then shared 333 shlokas to the living entities on the upper, 333 to the living entities on the middle, and 333 verses to the living entities on the lower planetary system. How many shlokas are left? There's only one shloka left. And Mother Parvati, this is my imagination, she went into the kitchen, and I don't know what it is called, but there's this where we make puris. She brought that. She was about to but Shiva said, calm down, my dear wife, calm down. So, you think the story is over. No, the story isn't over. This one shloka that was left is the smallest type of shloka. It is called Anushtup. Anushtup. We know most of the Bhagavad Gita verses are Anushtup. Dharma kshetre kuru kshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha mamaka pandavaschaiva kinga kurvata sanjaya. So, he said, one verse is already so powerful. Let's just quote this one shloka and we will become perfect. And he quoted that shloka again and again, but then again his eyes became full of tears. What is if there are still living entities in this material world bereft of the nectar of Krishna's glories or Ramachandra's glories? And Parvati, she already thought, now this cannot be. We only have one shloka. What is he doing? And so, please listen. He shared. Or let's ask you this question. Anushtup shloka. How many syllables an Anushtup shloka has? 32, exactly. Every line, we know, 8 syllables. So he, Lord Shiva, Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, he shared 10 syllables to the living entities on the upper planetary system, 10 syllables of this one left shloka to the living entities on the middle, and 10 syllables to those on the lower planetary system. So, how many syllables are left now? 2. So, and now my question is, who has an idea which syllables are left? Very loud. Rama. All together. Rama. Exactly. And Lord Shiva said, all the Ramayana, the whole 1 billion shlokas are included in these 2 syllables. And I will reveal you a secret, which I have heard. I think the 6 Goswamis, they revealed this secret, that actually another way to understand these 2 syllables, Rama, is also they are names of Radha and Krishna. The Ra is for Srimati Radharani, and the Ma is for Krishna, Madhusudana, Rama. So, this is the story of the greatest of all the Vaishnavas, And it shows how much a Vaishnava wants to share Krishna's glories with all the living entities. So for us this is a great inspiration, because we are trying to follow in these footsteps of great Vaishnavas, and also we want to share Krishna's holy name and Krishna's glories, Krishna's beautiful form. Hare Krishna, Jai Shishi Prahlad Nrsimhadev Bhagavan Ki Jai, with others. This is the Sankirtana spirit, the spirit of establishing the congregational chanting of the glories of the holy name of the Lord. And I thought, because Govindadev Prabhu, he requested us to say something about the bliss of Sankirtana, I thought this story would be very inspirational, hopefully. Thank you very much. And I want to introduce you to Shivatma Prabhu. He is my dear God brother. We are doing everything together, believe it or not, since or for the last not 33 million years, but 29 years. We do everything together. And Hare Krishna, thank you very much. And it started like this. He was doing book distribution in Flensburg. So if you don't know where Flensburg is, this is the city on the very north of Germany. Yeah. So this is when you pass Flensburg, you are in Denmark after that. There's nothing behind Flensburg. And he was there distributing books. They had the most successful small temple in the world of book distribution. Worldwide, #1 temple, and Shivatma Prabhu, he won many book distribution marathons in the 1990s. And one day I was in Berlin. I was not a very good book distributor, let's say in the lower planetary system I was. So, but always on the edge to the middle planetary system. So one day the phone rang and he said, do you have a driver in Berlin temple? Because my driver is sick, maybe for another 2 or 3 weeks. I need a driver, I want to go on book distribution. And it happened that I had a fresh, what it is called, driving license. I was at that time about 18 or 19 years old. I had a fresh driving license. And they said, hey, do you want to be the driver of this Maharati from Flensburg? You have heard about the Maharatis? They were in Kurukshetra, there were the fighters who could fight against, I think, 10,000 other fighters. And we called in book distribution those Maharatis who could distribute on one day more than 100 books. And not pamphlets or brochures. A real book started with 300 pages. That was a book. So I said, okay, let me be his driver until his real driver is again healthy. And of these 3 weeks, now 30 years almost happened. I'm still waiting for the for the devotee recovering. So So, I don't know. Shivatma Prabhu, he is a very spontaneous devotee. When I ask him, did you make some preparation for your talk today? No, there is no preparation. I know it from 30 years experience. I myself have no idea what will happen. Maybe he will just take his kartals and sing a song now. Let's see. So, but he also there's also some surprise sometimes. Hare Krishna.
Übersetzt. Was für die Übersetzung? Ich spreche in Deutsch, ja?
So I will translate. He speaks in German.
So, jetzt muss ich erstmal wieder von meinem Ego herunterkommen. Brahman hat so viel Glories auf die Buchverteilung in Deutschland erzählt. Aber
I have to come down to the earth. I guess Paramshreya did some glorification that is not fitting to my position.
so, wir haben in Deutschland eine Phase gehabt mit Harikesh Prabhu, ein großer spiritueller Meister, der sehr viele Devotees hatte, die viele, viele Bücher in Europa verteilt haben.
So we are from this era of at that time Harikesha Swami, now Harikesha Prabhu. He was the GBC, and even that the time before we called those 11 devotees a zonal acharya, and he was very, very determined to organize a very strong and powerful book distribution in his zone, in his GBC zone.
Die besten Buchverteiler in Europa waren in der Schweiz, in Deutschland und in Österreich.
The best book distributors were in Germany, in Austria, and especially in Switzerland.
Als die Warschauer Paktstaaten sich auflösten, kam Russland dazu.
And when the Eastern Bloc dissolved, then even in Russia they did a very powerful book distribution.
Es war einfach die Zeit, wo Krishna sich gewünscht hat, dass wir so viele Bücher wie möglich verteilen, solange die Grenzen auf sind.
And it was most probably Krishna's desire that we then could distribute books everywhere because there were no old borders anymore.
Auch Berlin, Deutschland war gespalten in zwei verschiedene Länder.
Even the city of Berlin was cut into two pieces before that.
Wir nannten es damals den Osten und den Westen.
We had East Berlin and West Berlin.
Und als damals die Grenzen aufmachten, gab es für die Devotees hier in Deutschland nur ein Ziel.
And when those borders were teared down, for the devotees there was only one goal.
Solange die Frucht noch reif und unschuldig ist, so viele Bücher wie möglich im Osten zu verteilen.
To distribute as many books as possible in this free situation that was offered now.
Es gab bei uns junge Devotees, Bhaktas, die das erste Mal Bücher verteilt haben.
There were very new Bhaktas, very fresh in the movement, and they immediately started to distribute books.
Diese Bhaktas sind mit ungefähr 5 oder 6 Devotees in ein Auto darüber gefahren.
And these young devotees in one Sankirtan van, they traveled to the eastern part of Germany.
Und haben mit der Barmherzigkeit von Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pro Tag über 150 bis 200 Bücher verteilt.
And to their own surprise, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, they could distribute on one day sometimes 150, even 200 books.
Die professionellen Devotees, Sankirtan-Devotees, die waren in der Lage, pro Tag 400 bis 500 Bücher zu verteilen. Pro Tag.
And those more experienced devotees who did book distribution for a few years, for a couple of years, they were even able to distribute an amount of 500 or even more books on one day.
Das war eine besondere Mercy, war eine besondere Hingabe auch gefragt, nämlich da rauszugehen, 8 bis 10 Stunden, manchmal sogar 12 Stunden, um so viele Bücher wie möglich zu verteilen unter den schwierigsten Umständen, die man da drüben im Osten vorgefunden hat. Es gab keine Straßen, keine Autobahn, es gab keine Möglichkeit, sich den Körper sauber zu waschen. Es war katastrophal verheerend, aber die Devotees waren voller Freude im Herzen, voller Bliss und haben deswegen unwahrscheinlich viel Bücher verteilen können in der damaligen Zeit, Anfang der 90er Jahre.
So at that time, both were there. One, the special mercy was there to distribute a lot of books, and second, the devotees they were very dedicated to that mission, and it was a very difficult time. Also, often there were no real streets in Eastern Germany. The streets were in a very awkward position, and also in the mornings the devotees sometimes they could not take a real bath, so everything was very austere.
Ich darf die Matachis nicht ausschließen, sie sind auch darüber gegangen, haben viele, viele Bücher verteilt.
And I should not forget the Matajis. They were also very, very dedicated, and they also did a lot of book distribution in the eastern part.
Nun sollte man annehmen, diese Massenbuchverteilung von vielen Büchern sei das einzig Wahre oder das Eine und Alles im Krishna-Bewusstsein oder im Sankirtan. Das ist weit verfehlt.
But one should not think that these mass book distribution is the ultimate goal of everything. No, there is actually more.
So, die großen Sankirtan-Devotees in unserer Bewegung hatten viele Helfer von Devotees in den Zentren und die mit ihnen zusammen rausgefahren sind und ihnen die Bücher massenweise auf den Aufbau gestellt haben, so dass sie so viele Bücher verteilen konnten.
So there were those devotees, I told you Maharatis, they could distribute a lot of books, but they were supported by many other devotees in the background, building the stacks of books, baking bread and repairing the cars and so on and so forth.
So diese Devotees, die im Hintergrund gearbeitet haben, sich unwahrscheinlich hingegeben haben, die haben auch die Treasury gemacht, das viele Kleingeld gezählt. Könnt ihr euch nicht vorstellen, das waren große Säcke, die da immer wieder zusammengezählt und abgegeben werden mussten an den Tempelpräsidenten.
So when the day was over, the book distribution day was over, there were those devotees who had to count all the coins that were collected in the book distribution in the evening.
Wie gesagt, es war voller Bliss und voller Nektar, aber es war auch eine große Entsagung in dieser Zeit, Bücher zu verteilen.
So on one side it was a very special nectarian time to distribute books, but on the other side it was also pretty austere.
Aber ich will eine kleine Korrektur machen aus der Vergangenheit heraus. Der Devotee, der letzten Endes auf der Liste stand und diese vielen Bücher verteilt hat und glorifiziert und verherrlicht worden ist durch die Sangha oder die Gemeinschaft von Gottgeweihten, der stand eigentlich für Krishna nicht in dem Mittelpunkt, als bester Gottgeweihter dieser Sankirtan-Bewegung dargestellt zu werden.
So not only the one person on the list who is on top of the list is not only recognized by Lord Sri Krishna.
Sondern dieses Ergebnis war ein kollektives Gesamtergebnis von allen Devotees.
No, these results were a result of a combined effort of many devotees also in the second and third line.
Viele Devotees, die damals sehr, sehr viele Bücher verteilt haben, ist dieser Ruhm in den Kopf gestiegen.
And there were some persons for them it was too much glorification. They thought they were themselves they were the root or the Ursache. Was ist Ursache? The cause of their success.
Und viele Devotees haben diesen Kirtan der Buchverteilung in diesem Leben nicht überlebt.
And there were a few devotees, they could not survive this glorification, unfortunately.
Sie haben ihr spirituelles Opfer gebracht.
And they left even, it was so dramatic that they even left the devotional service.
Sie haben zum Schluss ihr spirituelles Leben stillgelegt.
Their whole spiritual life became stagnant.
Und selbst der spirituelle Meister dieser Bewegung, der das alles inspiriert und geliedert hat, ist in die gleiche Situation gefallen, die Bewegung für 25 Jahre oder 10 Jahre erstmal zu verlassen.
And even the leader, the supreme leader of this effort, it was for him also difficult to survive in the Krishna consciousness movement.
So, die Devotees haben einen sehr großen Preis dafür bezahlt.
So there is some price you have to pay if you cannot deal with the glorification.
So, ich wollte jetzt nicht nur die schönen Seiten erzählen, sondern es hat auch eine Kehrseite, diese ganze Geschichte. Und es ist gut, wir haben ein Buch darüber geschrieben, die Erben von Hare Krishna, wenn man auch die anderen Äußerungen kennt, die damals abgespielt worden sind.
So I consciously also want to give you a report that there is not only the bright side, but we also have to learn from those experiences that we won't do the same mistakes today. And we have even, if you are interested, but it is in German, we have even published a book about this topic.
Aber es geht hier um die Verherrlichung der Gottgeweihten, die Sankirtan machen und viele Bücher verteilen oder wenige Bücher verteilen. Die Menge ist nicht ausschlaggebend.
So the amount of books is not the ultimate issue. It is the devotion that every devotee, the sincere devotion that every devotee is offering in this mission.
Wir müssen verstehen, dass es darum geht, bevor ich so ein wunderbares Ergebnis für Krishna fahren kann und so viele Bücher verteile, stehen hinter mir viele Gottgeweihte, die mir zum Beispiel die Wäsche waschen, die mein Geld zählen, die mir was Schönes zu essen machen, wenn ich zurückkomme in den Tempeln, die mit uns Kirtan liedern, die uns inspirieren, jeden Tag da rauszugehen und die viele Tätigkeiten machen, die zum Sankirtan dazugehören und die oft nicht gesehen wurden.
So every successful book distributor should always remember that behind my effort there is also many efforts by other devotees who are washing the laundry or baking or making some prasadam or do other very important services. These team spirit should always be in the foreground.
Meine Verwirklichung ist, wenn jeder in unserer Mission gleich behandelt wird in der Hingabe und seiner Liebe, die er zu Krishna gibt, von einem kleinen Tellerabwäscher bis hoch zum großen Sankirtan oder zum spirituellen Meister, dann sind wir auf dem richtigen Weg.
So we should appreciate all services of all devotees. We should appreciate a unknown pot washer, a devotee who is washing the dishes, and we should of course also appreciate the service of a spiritual master. But when we appreciate all services, then we are on the right path in our movement.
Krishna ist dann mit unserem Ergebnis zufrieden, wenn wir alle zusammen Krishna dienen.
Krishna is satisfied with us when we as a team in a combined effort, when we serve this mission.
Wenn die eine Hand in die andere greift und unterstützend hilft,
That one hand helps the other hand.
dann entstehen wunderbare Freundschaften im Krishna-Bewusstsein.
Then many nice, beautiful friendships can be manifest from those kind of devotional efforts.
Und wir entwickeln uns von einem Unpersönlichkeitsanhänger zu einem Persönlichkeitsanhänger.
And we then rise from being an impersonalist to a personal devotee.
Wenn wir anderen Gottgeweihten immer den Vortritt lassen,
When our spirit is to give other devotees when you wait in the prasadam line, our spirit should be, hey, you should go in front of me.
dann gibt Krishna seine ganze Barmherzigkeit, weil der Devotee ist am wichtigsten.
So when we have this attitude, then Krishna will give his full blessings. He will give his full blessings.
Ich kannte mal einen Vaishnava, der viele Bücher verteilt hat.
I knew a Vaishnava who did a lot of book distribution.
Und sein Fahrer, der dieses Auto immer transportiert und gefahren hat, wo er gerade verteilen sollte, hat ihn überall hin begleitet.
And he had a driver who drove him everywhere, and he fixed the car and he brought him everywhere where he wanted to distribute.
Das war mitten im Prabhupada-Marathon.
That was in the middle of the so-called Prabhupada Marathon.
Und ein Devotee, der so fortgeschritten ist und viele Bücher verteilt, der weiß im Voraus schon, ob er diesen Marathon gewinnt oder verliert.
And there are some of these very powerful book distributors, they sometimes know, I will win this marathon.
Krishna lässt ihn in die Vergangenheit, in die Gegenwart und in die Zukunft schauen.
He gets a glimpse of Trikalagya to see into the future.
So, sein Fahrer wurde schwer krank. Er kriegte hohes Fieber und hatte eine starke Grippe mitten im Marathon.
But then it happened that his driver, he became very sick suddenly and he had high fever.
Und der große Buchverteiler der Bhuti stand vor der Wahl. Entweder ich gewinne diesen Marathon, verteile viele Bücher und habe viel Glories, oder ich pflege meinen lieben Gottgeweihten.
So then this Maharati, this big successful book distributor, he had that dilemma now. Should I just go on with my marathon? Then I will win it and I will get so many glories by the other devotees. Or maybe should I better take care for this sick devotee who has so faithfully served me all these months.
Aber damals war die Leistung, wie in der materiellen Welt, auch alles. Ne? Jeder sollte viele Bücher verteilen und daran ist er gemessen worden, ob er ein guter Devotee war oder ein nicht so guter Devotee.
So at that time, the overall spirit was a little bit more driven by results. We want to have big results, and all those who create big results, they will be the best devotees.
So, der Sankirtan-Devotee musste eine Entscheidung treffen.
So this book distributor, Sankirtan devotee, had to take a decision now.
Er zog sich zurück und schaute in sein Herz hinein.
He took a look into his own heart,
Und fragte sich, warum bin ich eigentlich Devotee geworden?
and he wondered, why have I become a devotee actually?
Bin ich Devotee geworden, um meine spirituelle Zufriedenheit und Zufriedenstellung zu verwirklichen?
Did I become a devotee just to become myself satisfied in my spiritual life?
Oder bin ich Devotee geworden, um alle Menschen, die in großen Schwierigkeiten sind, in so einer Situation sind, zu helfen und zu unterstützen und das Amt erstmal beiseite zu legen?
Or did I become a devotee to help and serve all those who are in a painful or awkward position?
So, er hat sich nicht für den Ruhm und die Ehre entschieden, sondern für den Devotee.
So he did not decide for the glories and the big result, but he decided to help and cared for his sick devotee companion.
Sondern er hat 2 Wochen lang diesen Devotee im Sankirtan-Wagen gepflegt und hat es geschafft mit Krishnas Barmherzigkeit, dass er von seinen 42 Fieber runterkam wieder auf 37.
So for the next 2 weeks he served that companion in all kinds of areas. He had high fever, 42 degrees, but then he cooked ginger tea and helped him, and then after 2 weeks he recovered again.
Die beiden Brahmachari-Devotees sind bis heute Freunde.
And those 2 brahmacharis, they are very deep friends until now.
Diese Geschichte hat sie beide spirituell geprägt.
And this story has what is the word? They glued them both together with glue.
Und sie sind durch alle Höhen und Tiefen und allen Prüfungen, die noch auf sie gewartet haben, hindurchgegangen.
And they could master all the next challenges in the future.
Diese Freundschaft und dieser Teamspirit hat es ihnen ermöglicht, immer weiterzumachen und nie aufzuhören, den heiligen Namen zu schenken.
And in this way they could continue to chant the holy name for a very long time.
Egal welche Katastrophe auch kommen mag, wie wir jetzt, wir haben eine schlechte Zeit durch Corona, das Krishna-Bewusstsein wird immer mehr unterdrückt, verboten. Wir haben das in Berlin erlebt, jetzt haben wir in Paris erlebt, dass Polizisten kamen und den Kirtan gestoppt haben. Das sind alles so Situationen, die immer wieder eintreffen, wo man nur durchgehen kann, wenn man gemeinschaftlich zusammenhält, gute Freundschaften in der Bewegung schließt und immer wieder rausgeht und den heiligen Wagen verbreitet. Das möchte Krishna sehen.
So we also go through challenges nowadays. We had this Corona crisis, and yesterday I got news from Paris that the whole Ratha Yatra was cancelled by the police there. The devotees had to stop their Jagannath festival. So we will also face challenges also in the future, but when we have the right team spirit, then we will become successful through all these challenges.
Lass uns die Kollektivlisten abschaffen und lass uns die Individuallisten abschaffen, die bringt einen nur ins falsche Ego. Und lass uns, wenn wir die Listen aufzählen, die Bücher, die verteilt wurden in Cologne, in München oder in Heidelberg oder bei mir in Norddeutschland, in Hamburg oder in Berlin, dass es ein kollektives Ergebnis von allen Devotees und allen Vaishnavas sind. Dann ist jeder im Boot mit drin.
So let's not see so much on the so-called list of individual book distributors, but let's look more closely to the combined, assembled effort of all the devotees as a team, and then we will be able to very easily go through all the difficulties in the future.
So, noch eine kleine Verwirklichung. Alle Devotees in einem Tempel, die rausgegangen sind und Bücher verteilt haben, war Krishna so zufrieden mit, dass es den Tempel immer gut gegangen ist. Er hat nie Schulden gehabt. Er hat immer genug Geld gehabt zum Predigen. So, wenn wir den Sankirtan fördern und unterstützen, vor allen Dingen, wenn wir neue Devotees und Bhaktas sind, stetig rausgehen, 3, 4, 5 Jahre und Bücher verteilen, dann wird es den Tempel immer gut gehen. Wir lernen Loslösung von materiellem Bewusstsein.
So when there is always this Sankirtan spirit and book distribution, then my experience is that there will be no lack ultimately. Krishna will provide everything that we need, and also it is the best way to purify our hearts.
Das gilt für die Brahmacharis, aber auch für die Haushälter.
This advice is for all brahmacharis and also
Weil da gibt es
Grihastas.
keine Dualität, ne, im Sankirtan. So, Param sagt 2 Minuten, dann machen wir jetzt Schluss. Okay, Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. So. Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Simhat Shalam Ki Jai. Shri Prahlad Nrsimha Bhagavan 40 years Mahotsava Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.